Hello, it is Sunday, June 15th, 2014. I have two cameras on me and I don't know where to look. But it is the day of the 4th season finale of Game of Thrones. And for this video, I will say very quickly, as far as spoilers, I will only speak about anything that has to do with the episodes that have aired so far, up to Season 4, Episode 9. And as far as the books, well, it's most of Book 3, and, a little bit of Book 5, because that's where they've been this season a lot. But I am not alone today, no, because today I have with me my very best awesome friend person in the world, and that is Miss Vanessa! Come here, darling! Hello! Come here. The phone doesn't like you. Let's just move it right here. Okay, so why are we here? I will tell you why we're here. Actually, no, Vanessa, tell them why we're here.
Well, you mean here existentially in this universe, or you mean... Okay, I'm going to stop now. So we're just here to watch the season finale together because I'm kind of sick and tired of always having to wait an extra day to get it because I don't watch it on TV. I usually wait to watch it streaming the following day. Because I'm too impatient to wait for DVD releases. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So we can also fangirl over it together.
Yes, because it sucks when I can't sit there and watch her react to stuff I know's coming. Because I have read the books and she has not.
I've only read I've read the TV show, yes. I've only seen the TV show. I tried to read the books. I regrettably didn't get into them.
That's okay.
But I was recommended to watch the show instead, which I did, and I'm very happy that I did because it has become one of my favorites.
Yes. So, before we head into... Did we say what we're going to do? We're doing our top 10 characters, guys!
We may have neglected to mention that.
Slight detail. So, before we do our top 10, we did happen to mention this to some of our friends who were...
That on my toes, I'm almost your height.
Nope. So, so we asked our friends what were their favorite characters. Well, she asked 10, I asked 5, but mine cheated, so...
So that worked out in the end.
Yeah, so do you want to read... We've combined everybody's lists into one mega list.
Basically, voters' choice.
Yeah. So, and we have a top 10. Mm-hmm. Now, we won't go into too much detail. We'll simply say from the most votes to the least votes, but they're still good.
So basically so in ascending order, most to least, that would be Arya Stark, Tyrion Lannister, Sansa Stark, Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, Jaime Lannister, Cersei Lannister, Oberyn Martell, Marjorie Tyrell, and Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah. So now we're going to go into our lists, and though we will start with some honorable mentions, because let's face it, we can't control ourselves.
No, we could do a top 500 characters for Game of Thrones, and it's still.
And most of them will be dead. A moment of silence.
God, we'd have to have 10,000 moments of silence. But anyway.
So, what are your honorable mentions, Vanessa?
So, my honorable mentions, in no particular order, there is Jaqen H'ghar, Ramsay Snow, the Hound, Sansa Stark, Dany Targaryen, and Ned Stark.
Excellent. So, my honorable mentions are in particular order because I just went from 1 to 20 and then I just chopped it up in the middle. So, my top 11 to 20 are Daenerys Targaryen, and then Shae, TV Shae, not book Shae, Davos Seaworth, Hodor, Catelyn Stark, Dolorous Ed, and Olenna Tyrell, Cersei Lannister, Grey Worm, and Sandor Clegane, aka the Hound. Yes, so now...
I can never remember his actual name.
That's okay, you've got me for that. So now we will go into our top 10. What we'll do is that she will do her number 10, and I will do my number 10, and so on and so forth. And we will say a little bit about why we put these characters on our list, and maybe also why they are where they are on the list. I really can't tell where to look because there's 2 cameras. Okay, so
just focus on my face. There you go.
I need that. Number 10.
So my number 10 is actually Cersei Lannister. I wholeheartedly admit that she is personality-wise an awful human being.
A bitch.
But she's also a very complex character, very, pretty much everyone in this show is very multidimensional, which is why I had a hard time picking my top 10. But, no, I actually like Cersei Lannister's character a lot. For the same reason that I like Ramsay Snow's, that they're both fucking creepy as hell.
I can work with that. That's okay. You know, I have Cersei on my list too as an honorable mention, but I have her, and the thing is, I never know if I would have liked her as much as I do if she hadn't been played by Lena Headey, because let's face it, she's flippin' awesome. And I already loved her from Sarah Connor Chronicles, and so when she showed up, I was like, I love you! I hate you.
But I love you!
But I hate you. So... But then there's other things that I can't talk about because book spoilers.
I'm sorry, it's my fault.
No, it's okay. I mean, there's other people who haven't read the book, and that's okay. That's okay. You should never get shamed for not having read the books. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we will continue with my number 10, which I know is on your list because it's your freaking phone background. And it is The Red Viper, Oberyn Martell. Moment of silence. I will leave it at this for this number because I know we will come back to him later.
He'll pop up again.
Yeah. Couldn't he just pop up again alive? That'd be nice.
You know, that would be nice, but I know that because of recent events and his death has set off another chain of events, because that's what George R. R. Martin does. Mm-hmm. Anyway, shall we move on to number 9?
Number 9.
So my number 9 is Tyrion Lannister. He's an all-around pretty cool guy.
Yes, he is.
I mean, essentially, for his capability of, he can be very manipulative. We've seen him before managing to sort of, manipulate situations to try to get things to go his way, but he always manages... How can I say this? He does it for the benefit of people and not just for himself. Mm-hmm. And he's proven to also be, a very compassionate person as well, which is always important in my books.
And we'll come back to Tyrion later with my list. Spoiler alert. The good kind of spoilers. And we will move on to my number 9, which is Sansa Stark, who has taken quite the journey from the beginning of the series. When I started reading the books, I had people telling me, Sansa. But, and even, other people who are now currently reading the books for the first time, and, they're, having issues with Sansa, and I'm like, dude, just give it time.
Give it a few more books.
Yeah, let her grow. Go in there assuming that things will get better. Because if you go in there, hating, sometimes it's hard to get out of that hole, so... But yeah, I will say, did she come back on your list?
No, she was in my honorable mentions.
Okay, so quick, a little bit more about Sansa. She's on the show, let's face it, tall goddess that is Sophie Turner.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and who has grown into this role, and I'm just continually impressed with her acting abilities and how she's grown into the role. Let's face it, this isn't easy stuff for the younger actors to get really sort of become these characters, but all the kids her and Maisie and Isaac and all the other ones bang out job, dudes. So we're gonna move on to number 8. I had to check my fingers. 8.
All right, so my number 8 is actually Arya Stark. I've pretty much liked her quite a bit since the beginning. I kind of enjoy characters like her who are very sort of take charge, no bullshit type of characters, and particularly in the last season, the season that just aired, the 4th season, she's developed quite a bit into becoming a very, how can I say this? I guess, for lack of a better term, and I don't like using this term, but, strong, independent female character type. Mm-hmm. But again, at the same time, she shows that she's also... she's capable of doing a little bit of like manipulation thing, you know, when she was trying to convince the Hound to not steal the silver from that little farming family they had stumbled upon for a night, that sort of thing. And again, proving that she is capable of playing the lying game a little bit. Same episode when she managed to convince some passing soldiers, like, oh no, you know, this is my dad, we fought for such and such house, we're good people, we're your allies. You know, she's a quick thinker, and she needs to be, in order to be able to survive as long as she has, considering she's been mostly by herself since season 1.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 8, Arya's favorite brother, Mr. Jon Snow, up at the wall. I just wish those two could get together again, because that would be awesome. You know, you get a little snippet of their relationship in the beginning, and how close they are. He gave her a needle, you know? But, okay, so Jon himself, apart from the Arya situation, you know, let's face it, he hasn't exactly been feeling all the love at Winterfell. You know, he had Catelyn Stark, who like never cared for him, you know, and just gave him the death glare whenever she could. And he didn't feel he had a really a place. And then he goes to the Night's Watch, and you know, in the books he's a little younger. I think he's like 14 when he goes there. And like, you know, at the beginning, like he's had some training at Winterfell, so he shows up there, and there's these other boys who just like, you know, they're very green, like they don't know how to fight, and they don't have techniques, and like he has to be told, like, you know, not everybody gets to grow up the way you did. Like, you did have some good things in your life, and like he turns this around, and then he starts helping them, and you know, becomes friends with them, and like defends Sam. Yes, Sam. And, you know, he grows, and then you see, like, as the seasons progress, and as he sees more, you know, he goes beyond the wall, he sees the free folk, falls for regret, and, you know, like, he comes back to the wall, to Castle Black, and he's like, he knows what's up, and, like, no one will listen to him, and I'm just like, listen to him, he knows what he's talking about. And then stuff, book 4, book 5,
First rule of any fictional universe, when the one sort of, I guess I was going to say either crazy person / anti-hero / outcast comes to you and says, there's shit going down, you believe them or else people die. Bad things happen to good people when you don't listen to the outcast.
Yeah, and see, if they had listened, maybe Pip and Gren will be alive, you know, like in the books. You know?
I'll leave that one up to you, darling.
I'm just saying.
Alright.
So, you want number 7?
Number 7. So my number 7 is Grey Worm.
Yay!
Actually. I know we haven't seen him very much, but he's definitely become one of my favorite characters because, I mean, think about it. When you think about it, he had such a crappy life, like pretty much everyone else who is in the Unsullied. And even though he was offered the chance to remain free, he was offered the chance to change his name, he was offered, like, you know, basically to change his life around. His life did change, but completely out of his own accord, and his dedication to Dany and to Dany Targaryen and everything that and her cause, I mean, is just incredible. And, you know, he's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah. You know, I love him too. He's on my list, you know, and I've especially loved this season the relationship with him and Missandei. Of course,
even though he was being a little bit creepy by watching her in the river and just like,
oh, hey, you know. But it's just, let's face it, if we didn't have the show, that relationship would never have happened because she's a little kid in the books, you know.
And that would have been a lot creepier.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, so thank you. That's an up for the show. Because I like them together. So it will probably end in tears, of course. But my number 7, we're back to the imp. It's Mr. Tyrion Lannister. And the thing that I want to say is that you see him, like, especially, okay, I'm going to say my thing again, in the books. But, like, in the books, like, you see, like, especially like in season 2, this whole plan, like, everything that led towards the Blackwater battle with the boats and with the wildfire and everything, like, throughout the whole book, like, he's setting shit up. Like, he's getting things into motion and, like...
setting them up and knock them down.
And, like the whole book, he's making this chain. Like, he's getting all the people, all the smiths to, like, make these links, to make a big chain. And everybody's like, why do you want this? And, like, they're all a little confused. And at the end, the freaking chain comes out of this thing, grabs all the boats. And be like, yeah, Tyrion Lannister, bitches. Sorry. But, I mean, come on.
We can swear, we're adults, sort of.
Physically.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I mean, and, okay, come on, we gotta say it. Peter Dinklage, freaking phenomenal.
He's amazing.
This season, the trial, hello.
Very incredible.
Yeah.
That picture of him holding his baby that was on the internet recently just cracks me up every time.
Aww. Okay, so, do you want to move on to number 6?
Sure. So, my number 6 actually is Olenna Tyrell.
Yeah.
This woman is just amazing. Every single line that comes out of her mouth is just pure gold. And this is basically how I imagine Olenna Tyrell with a whole bunch of little string puppets and just like doing whatever the hell she wants.
I mean,
like I can't even. I have a hard time putting into words just everything I love about her. Just it's really for her pure skills of being able to just manipulate people so incredibly well.
And big ups for getting rid of Joffrey.
Yes. That needs two thumbs up.
4. Let's get the big toes now. No. You dropped your list.
I dropped my list. It's fine. It's survived.
Is that all?
Yeah. I could talk forever about Olenna, but, you know, whatever.
Forever?
Okay, maybe not forever, but...
Challenge accepted. For the rest of your life, you will speak only of Olenna Tyrell.
That will go badly if I want to work.
Okay, so...
Anyway, tangent over.
Yes. So, my number 6 is Miss Arya Stark. You know, who has been, like... She's been, like, one of my favorites since the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Like, I saw season 1, and then I read book 1, and then I read book 2, and what's season 2, and, you know. But, like, so, at the beginning, I already had, like, you know, Maisie... who was it's very weird to see her now in the season 1 with the long hair and the clean clothes. And she's like chasing after birds and cats and, like, you know, and it's all sweet. And then you see her now who's just standing by, and while someone gets a sword through their neck, and she just like...
And she stabs people through the throat.
Through the heart and everything. It's like, hi, what's your name? Okay, thank you. You know, but like, it's just
turning into a little hound.
You know, one's turning into a killer, one into a liar. The Stark sisters. And, you know,
fuck with the Stark sisters.
You just don't. None of the Starks. Winter is coming, y'all. So, but yes, like the progression of her character has just been like
a bit of a roller coaster.
3 roller coasters. 3 dragon roller coasters. And a dire wolf. Anyway, but yeah, so many more things to come with Miss Arya Stark. And now we are moving into the big leagues.
Yep.
Top 5. So number 5.
So my number 5 is Khal Drogo. Oh,
moment of silence.
Cease my poor aching heart. But yeah, so Khal Drogo, he's again another character who very ruthless, but you understand when it kind of comes that it's entirely part of his culture. Not that I'm trying to excuse it, but it's just how the Dothraki are. Again, you know more detail about than I do because you've read the books, but I've gleaned what I could from the show. Mm-hmm. But again, he proves himself to be extremely, like, he's quite capable of compassion and caring, especially as...
And Dany's brought out a lot of that in him, I think. Exactly.
His showing how dedicated he was to Dany and to his wife, and, you know, to make sure that he would have an heir and everything like that. It just really goes to prove how much of a wonderful character he is, because he took care of his people pretty damn well. You know, they followed him without question.
Well, for a time. But no, I really liked him in season 1. He was my favorite character, and he still manages to always stay up in the top of my list, even as more characters are introduced throughout the series. And let's face it, if you're watching Game of Thrones,
he's really, really dreamy.
No, but if you're watching Game of Thrones, you're bound to love a lot of characters that will not make it to the end.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, my number 5, and let's not be mistaken, I will not call her by the name that she is given on the show, and it is Miss Asha Greyjoy, the freaking Kraken's daughter, yo. I don't know why I just said that, but, it's the emotions that I get, okay? Asha Greyjoy, freaking queen! Asha queen! Okay? And she is just like, okay, you know how she came along. First thing we see of her, she goes there and says, "Hey, Theon, what up?" Takes him back to the castle, lets him feel her up. Just, she just pretends she's someone else, just so she can get a feel of him. Well, he gets a feel of her. But, like, that just I realized what I was saying as I was saying it. But, she's very, like, calculating in the way that she worked, because like she knew the only way she would get to see what he was really like, what he became after being away with the Starks for so long, was to see what he was without him knowing who she was. And since from there she's been growing.
It was basically a big pervert.
Yes. And
anyhow,
the girl can give some freaking epic speeches, and big ups to Gemma Whelan, who plays her on the show, because she's awesome. She's one of my 3, I call them my 3 epic ladies, and they all come in book 2, but you will see the other ones later on, because they're all in my top 5. So, number 4 for Vanessa.
So, my number 4 is Ygritte. Someone's happy.
I love it.
Pure kick-assery.
Yes!
That's pretty much all I gotta say about Ygritte. No, she's just an absolutely wonderful character, especially just that very first scene that we see with her when she's teasing.
Well, it's not the first.
Not the first one. Sorry, but one of her earlier scenes.
Close.
When she's teasing Jon Snow about talking to the. Anyway, she's teasing about something. Teasing him about like, oh, I didn't want it. Oh, but I did. Oh, the shame of it. And I think I may or may not. I may have had you rewind that scene just so I could rewatch it because it was so incredible. But no, she's a fantastic character, and I'm very sad now.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence for an epic lady.
Yes, we will talk more of her later. I promise.
Yes.
So my number 4, which if you'd asked me this at the beginning, I would have said no way, Jose, is Mr. Jaime Lannister. The Kingslayer. Don't call him Kingslayer. No.
Just call
him. But details. But yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, one of the first things that we know him to do is push Bran out of the window after he's having some time with his sister.
They were doing it in the tower.
Shh. Yeah, but like this is where he begins, and then like you hear about this thing about how he killed the king and he sat on the Iron Throne, and you hear all these other things, and like you're just like, okay, but then you get to like later on and you find out more of his story, specifically in book 3 when he becomes a POV character, and you get more into his head, into his backstory, and you find out why he killed the king, which
and you find out how much of a crazy bastard the king was anyway. So his death wasn't exactly a tragedy.
Yes, and like, especially, like, after, like, he lost his hand, like, that was, like, a big, like, reevaluation of his life right there, kind of had to.
It was a wake-up call.
Yeah, because he couldn't really do the sword thing anymore, which is just unfortunate. But, and then, the thing is that I'm really upset now this season, where there is that one scene, which I think you all know what I'm talking about, in front of his dead son, where there is some questionable actions happening here.
That was a really creepy and very uncomfortable scene.
Especially if you know that that's not how it's supposed to have gone. But I'm just not going to get into that, because if I do, I will be having the Olenna Tyrell version of I will talk about this forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that this doesn't like taint too much of the image of Jamie in people's heads. As far as I'm concerned, that scene never happened. Nope.
Just pretend that it didn't. I want to pretend it didn't happen either, but because it made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
number 3, yes?
Alright, so my number 3 is Jon Snow.
Yeah!
The thing with Jon Snow is that I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with him in the beginning, because actually...
Why?
When I first started reading the books, I made it, like, I think the first 50 pages or so, and just, like, I didn't like him at first in the books, and that kind of turned me off a little bit from them, and...
Well, he was 14, and he was 11.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't realize that at the time. Anyway, and in the beginning of the show, too, I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna give this guy a shot, obviously, because I do like the show.
He had a chip on his shoulder.
And yeah, you know, he has a pretty big chip on his shoulder, but his character arc, which has been one hell of a damn roller coaster, has actually proven how much of a great character he is. You know, trying to constantly always having to try to prove himself because, you know, he's a bastard and everything. And in that same essence with Tyrion, where they're always kind of trying to have to prove themselves because they're viewed as basically being a social minority, if you will.
Because he said, like, you know, all dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's that whole thing I forgot to mention with Tyrion that I liked. He said is like, you know, if I had been born anything but a Lannister, I would have been dead.
Which is very true.
And he really sort of took advantage of the fact that he got to live, and he like, boy, smart.
But yeah. So yeah, Jon Snow, number 3 for me.
Okay, for me,
and Kit Harington is really hot.
Details. So my number 3 and the last guy on my list. So my top guy, you know, my favorite male character is Samwell Tarly. Yes. Because, okay, you know, he comes along in the beginning and he's a little fat boy, and like in the books he's supposed to be even bigger than he is in the show. But like, you know, like he's awkward and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he says, you know, like, I'm a craven, like, and, you know, like he doesn't think he's gonna make it, and then like the whole thing is sad. Like his story, like basically he was never gonna be like the guy that takes over for his father and like follows in his footsteps and everything. He wasn't like that. And then when he did get a brother, then his father was like, dude, we're gonna go hunting and you're gonna have a fall, you're gonna die, that's it, or you can go to the wall. So
poor Sam.
Yeah, but then he goes to the wall and then he meets Jon Snow and he asks if he knows where to put it. I love when those two talk about sex, let's face it. It's just awesome.
It's the most awkward, incredibly awkward thing ever. It's
anytime it happens, it's just, oh guys, come on. Okay, but yeah, anyway, so beyond that, like he's smart and he's a reader and he really like he finds a place.
And he's a sweetheart.
Yes, thanks to John, who gets him a place to, you know, help Mr. Aemon. You know, he gets to tend the books and everything, and like that's where he's happy. So even though like going to the wall could have seemed like a death sentence to him, he found his place and like he's grown, and then like over the season he's become like he's like, I mean, you watch him in the last episode, like he was in charge for certain parts, and like and then he found Gilly. And they're so sweet together.
And he killed a White Walker.
Yes, he did. Sam the Slayer.
I mean, he explained that he just kind of did whatever and was acting on pure instinct.
The White Walker fell on his knife. More or less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then other things that happened that I can't say.
We'll get to them eventually. One day I'll start reading the books. Give them another shot.
So, number 2.
So my number 2 is Marjorie Tyrell. Pretty much for similar reasons as Olenna. She is absolutely fascinating. She knows, like, this is the type of person, she's the type of person who will meet you, and within 30 seconds of knowing you and getting to know you, she will know how to play you like a goddamn fiddle to get whatever the hell she wants out of you.
Hello, Joffrey, the crossbow.
Christ. that was a beautiful scene, actually. I really liked that a lot, because it just really showed how good she is at this game, and just how easily manipulated Joffrey was.
And hello, Natalie Dormer.
And Natalie Dormer is also very, very hot. I swear to God, I'm not letting physical appearance skew my list or anything. It's just
no, because let's face it, all the people on Game of Thrones are freaking, like, gorgeous.
Yeah, pretty much. But
It's a thing.
Marjorie, I think she's an amazing character, and I really can't wait to see more from her, actually. And again, the scene with Tommen was also very fascinating, because again, she's already starting to play him.
Yes.
And everyone else around her, really.
Big ups to Sir Pounds.
Sir Pounds.
So, my number 2 is Miss Brienne of Tarth. Yes. I mean, I don't even know how to say this, because there are no words for how much I love this lady. And a lot of that goes to Gwendolyn Christie. Again, the actors, like, the casting in this show is just bang on, man. I mean, she comes along and she's, you know, she knows who she is. She's not like the lady. She's not like she's not going to be the daughter who gets married and has the babies and, like, carries on and such on. Like, no, she wants to fight, and, like, this is the person that she is, and she's, for the most part, comfortable with it. Obviously, she has some issues with it in some places, but I can't even explain why I love her. It's beyond words, and, like, I probably can't even, like, I'm doing a poor job of explaining how much I love her.
I can share a reason why I like her.
Please do.
If you want. It's just because I didn't really mention her in my honorable mentions or anything in my top 10, but Brienne is a character that I actually do really like a lot. And I feel that she's more multi-dimensional than people might give her credit for, because yes, she's totally kick-ass, and she could snap your neck with 2 fingers if she wanted to, but at the same time, she just shows that she does have some insecurities about her, and that she is sometimes a little more fragile than she looks.
Yeah.
Which goes to show with pretty much a lot of any of the warrior-type characters that we have in the show.
Yeah. It's like when she devotes herself to someone and, like, says that she will, like, help them, like, and she has something, like, a job put onto her, like, she will finish that job, and, like, like, she promised that she would get Jaime back to King's Landing,
which she did.
Yes. And now she's off trying to find Sansa, and maybe Arya too,
which hopefully she'll manage.
Yeah, please. I can't say.
It's okay. I'll find out later.
And, okay, I love her with Jaime. Let's just get it out of the way. It's like...
barely even friends. That's all I gotta say. Bro TP.
But, like, there's a whole scene, like... Because it's more pronounced in the books, but, like, when they get found, like, when they're on the road, like, he, like, provokes her or something, and then they start fighting, and, like, they're all, like, all out, and, like, Jaime, I don't know if he still has his shackles on or anything, but, like, he's fighting at one point, he's like, oh crap, she's gonna beat me, and, like,
yes, Jaime, she will.
But then, like, that's what gets them caught, because they were so out, they were just like bam, bam, and they were yelling, and just like, and then some people show up, it's like,
that was the one that happened on the bridge, wasn't it, in the show?
Yeah,
sort of bridge thing. Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, and then, like, he saves her from the bear.
Which is another great scene.
And they're just left in the show, like, it's a tiny little thing, but when he's trying to cut his meat, and he's only got the one hand, she just goes like, here. And the scene in the bath, when he's telling her his story, and she's just, like, watching him, and she's just seeing who, like, you know, beyond, like, more than the King's Third, and then she holds him, and it's like...
The fact that he was able to actually show this very... I could say, private side of himself to her just goes to show how much trust they developed in each other in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So.
It's like the only woman he's been... I think the only other woman who's been this close to has been Cersei. And in this case, different kind of closeness.
You kind of just want to take Brienne and Jaime and just go like, now kiss. But, you know. Anyhow.
I'm not very eloquent, am I?
It's okay.
I just feel. It comes out of my feels.
That's fine.
So
the
great
number one. So, in a surprising, in a turn of events that shocks absolutely nobody.
I was floored.
Me.
I was floored.
My number one choice is Joffrey Baratheon!
No!
I'm kidding. Actually, no. I'm kidding.
Please do. Otherwise, you were never stepping in this house again. Which actually is true because you probably won't come back
because you're moving soon.
In like 2 weeks-ish.
So, no, sorry. In a turn of events at Shot,
she will literally never step in this house again, I promise. For this. And other reasons.
But no, for real, actually, my favorite character now is Oberyn Martell.
Second of silence.
Oh, baby. But, yeah, so even though he was only present for 7 episodes, and from what I understand, he didn't have, like, he was still present in the books, but didn't have, like, the biggest presence.
Yeah, I mean, like, because
still
before I got to his part in the books, like,
one of those, like, side story anti-heroes.
The way I heard about people talking about it, I thought he was going to be, like, all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then he was, like, not that much into it. But
well, that kind of happens sometimes when you happen to get, like, a side character who's just so well developed.
And, you know, Pedro Pascal.
And Pedro Pascal is amazing.
He was perfect.
So, yeah.
People weren't sure about him in the beginning, and see what happens when you give people a chance?
Mm-hmm. But,
first judgment, never good.
Oberyn, where to begin? Well, you know, the whole anti-hero thing is, you know, pretty standard. I mean, pretty much anyone likes an anti-hero, especially now in this day and age, they're quite popular. Again, pure badassery for the fact that he's proven to be a very, very good warrior, extremely capable fighter, also very intelligent. And of course, there's just a lot of interesting things about him that we learned a bit about in the show, but I actually went to read up more on his Wikipedia page because I wanted to know, like, literally everything about him.
Everything, what's his choice?
Exactly. And so you find out that, yeah, he's an absolute expert about poisons and things. And another thing about him that I find is very important is the fact that he has pretty much eight bastard daughters.
The Sand Snakes.
The Sand Snakes.
Bring it on!
And he takes care and provides for them all, which is not usual in the world of Westeros whatsoever. But
well, it's Dorne. I can't wait to see Dorne, because Dorne is different.
Yeah. So, proves, and at the same time, he's very much in love with Ilaria.
Yeah.
And
I almost said Elia, not that's his sister.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't work like that.
Lannisters, yes.
Targaryens, sure. But
no, and again, that's aside to him. Like, yes,
he does love her very much, obviously.
Yeah, but like very badass character, and he can also himself be very ruthless. But he has that side to him, which pretty much a lot of. So without going on to a huge tangent, because I could talk about how much I like Oberyn for a very long time as well. But another thing that I really liked about him and his relationship with Ilaria was the fact that they were very capable of having an open relationship. And they're both basically bisexual, which like never happens in fiction.
Hey, which
is particularly important for me as well.
I mean, we had like a conversation on this show between a bisexual and an asexual. It never happens.
Which just never actually happens ever. And yeah, the fact that they were actually represented that, yes, people are quite capable of having open relationships and that sort of thing, and people are very much capable of being bisexual and not like, oh, well, I'm bisexual, but I'm actually secretly straight or secretly gay. Like that. Anyway. But yeah, he's a great character, and from episode 1 that we first saw him, episode 1 of season 4, I just friggin' fell in love. And now he's my phone background, and I'm planning on cosplaying him.
It's awesome. I saw a picture of you. She sent me a picture that was like, Oberyn? But then I actually opened it, I was like, oh no, okay.
Yeah, well, it's just funny because I happen to... The only giveaway that basically to me is the fact that I'm actually wearing red nails. Sorry, little... Let's see if I can actually manage to get this properly up there. So, yeah, this is actually me in Oberyn makeup. Because I was bored the other night and gave it a shot.
And I was just like tripping out. But, you know, let's just face it. Me and her, we've both lost our favorite characters in the span of 2 episodes. Because my favorite character is the lady... Kissed by Fire, the Wildling Queen. Well, she's not the queen, but she's my queen. And you know who I'm talking about. It's Miss Ygritte. I'm just gonna go lie down, because I can't even.
All right, in this case, I will take over camera time.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, because I was thinking about this, like, because she first comes into book 2, but we barely see her in book 2. So I was thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I was starting to see what she was like, and I knew that people loved her, but you know, it's only a little tiny tidbit, and where she really comes into her own as far as the books is book 3, and that's the only other book that she's in.
I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Thank you. But, like, so really, like, where I fell in love with her was thanks to Miss Rose Leslie, who plays her, like, bang on, and then, like...
Phenomenally.
Yeah, I mean, like, season 2, like, you know, there shouldn't have been all that much, but we got these great scenes between them, and, you know, like, when they were walking along, and he was, like, leading her on, and then when they woke up, and she was tied to him, and she's like, dude, what's going on back there? And it's like, you know.
Well, this funny little phenomenon called morning wood, but anyway.
Yeah, but, you know, so we got a lot.
I found it funny that when they woke up, he had, like, one leg kind of swung over her. I don't know. It was a funny
He wanted to make sure she didn't get away. But, yeah, so, like, we got more of her into this, and then, like, this whole thing of, like, when she goes with him, it's like, you guys, like, you just showed up and you put a wall, and you're like, that's our land, and, like, it's like, it was intense, and I love them together. And then, like, season 3, when those first, like, they put out, like, pictures, like, promotional pictures with her, and I was just like, I think I must have texted you, like, Vanessa, those pictures!
Probably.
Yeah,
they had the whole star-crossed lovers angle working for them, which was very tragic because they love each other so much, but they were both also so dedicated to their own cause that neither of them were willing to compromise.
Yeah.
Which is something that you never see. More often than not, it always happens, like, one of them compromises and is like, oh, well, I love this person, so I'm going to compromise.
It's the whole Grace, Danny, Sandy situation.
Usually the female character
changes for him.
Yeah, changes for the male character. In this case, but neither of them did, and you know, one of them unfortunately just had to die, and it's just either way,
that goddamn kid.
Either one would have broken my heart. So
yeah, I mean, it's like it's different. Like, can we not get to the part where she's dead yet?
No, it's cool.
But I mean, like, the whole like the thing is that she's one of the funniest, especially like. Rose Leslie again, like
her line delivery is amazing,
and she's like, oh, I'm gonna have a kiss.
Oh, save me, John.
It's like
trustful.
What's swooning? You know,
girls see a lot more blood than boys.
Yeah, so like, but then you know, eventually there was that whole unfortunate situation where you know he was bound to the wall to the Night's Watch, and he had to go back, and she put arrows in him. Mm-hmm. But then. Gets to the battle. Stuff happens.
And it's all very sad and tragic, and we don't have to go into detail about it if you
want I will just say, because, like, in the books, like, it's not where the whole thing where, like, he sees her and she sees him, and it's like, you know, it's more
they
like...
saw each other ready to die, ready to kill the other.
It's more like he finds her, like the next morning or something, and she has an arrow and she's not dead yet, and he's like, he doesn't know if it's him who killed her at first. Like, at first he thinks, like, it might be me, you know?
Ooh,
and then afterwards he's like, no, that's not my arrows, but I think, like, maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe deep down he still thinks that it could be her, but then, like, things that he does lose her, but then I think losing her propelled him into what's gonna come next.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, like, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but George R. R. Martin doesn't do pointless deaths. Pretty much every single death he's had, major ones, even some of the minor ones, they've all been for a reason, and they've all déclenché. Set off, I guess I could say. They've all set off something.
Yeah, we're French speakers also. Le ton de fer.
Ton de fer. Every single death always kind of set off something else. In my case, Oberyn's rather
lack of living,
lack of living,
lack of a head. I didn't watch. Like, I was like, no.
And
no, hell no.
Anyhow, like, basically what I want to come from that is I need his daughters, the Sand Snakes, to come up and get revenge for their daddy and cause mayhem and shit. That's the only thing that I really want right now. Mm-hmm. Get revenge for Daddy Oberyn.
So, I guess that's all.
I guess that's pretty much it. And
so,
we're leaning on 45 minutes, so...
I told you the phone was not going to work. At some point, it just, like, it stopped. It was
off.
like, I give up. But, yeah, so I don't know if this is going to go up tonight or tomorrow because I'm having some issues with my internet. But I'm going to try and get it up as soon as possible. So right now, it's almost 5 o'clock, which means it's just about 4 hours until the finale.
And we're going to catch up on Orphan Black first, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to.
First, we're going to get some air, because it's freaking hot in here, because I had to turn off the fan.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we're going to catch up on some stuff. I'm going to talk and have food, and then maybe I'm going to film her reaction to some stuff.
Yes, feel free.
Because I will just leave it at that, because I don't want to do spoilers, but... Mm-hmm.
I think my reactions for a lot of the major deaths have been pretty entertaining.
And I haven't seen most of them, because she wasn't here.
You saw the one for Ned.
Yes.
Which was very, like, jaw-dropping, like, oh my god!
But I wish I could have been there for, like, the Red Wedding and for...
The Red Wedding, I looked away from the screen. I just, like, legit just going, yeah! And for Oberyn, I just kind of stood there, jaw-gaping, like, a tear rolling down my cheek. And then I couldn't move for, like, a minute. I was like... Wait, what just happened? And then I eventually just closed the window and I kind of like just eventually went to bed. It's like, I'm going to sleep now.
Forever. So, yeah. We're going to leave it there because we have spoken.
The finale will be awesome.
And then 10 more months of waiting.
Alright.
Yeah, so...
Well, thanks to whoever managed to actually sit through the entire thing. And a big thank you to all of our friends who contributed to our Voters' Choice list earlier.
Did we say their names? We didn't say their names.
No,
Lisa, Blonde Bookbee on YouTube, Emily, and Marie. And
for my friends, a really big thank you to Tamar, Harry, Amanda, and Nick for all sending in your little lists.
Absentee Nick. Nick, we need to talk at some point. We need to meet. We keep missing each other, and she keeps talking to me about you and saying how we like all the same things. And
no, it's actually very true.
I'm starting to think you're a myth.
Yep, he's a myth. He's only a myth. I made him up this whole time.
You've been mistaken. Okay, so we're going to shut this down. Because we will keep talking.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, bye-bye.